Attention, human collective. This is no ordinary message. This is a high-level monitoring transmission issued directly from the Pleiadian Council of the Seventh Arch to all light operatives who remain incarnated on the Earth's surface. The waiting time has ended. The ascension protocols have moved to the final phase, and your body already knows this even before your conscious mind can process this information. We know what you have been feeling. We monitor, we record. Every pulse of pain that has crossed your skull in recent weeks is not random. Every wave of exhaustion that collapses your body without warning is not a coincidence. That high-pitched ringing that appears in the early hours of the morning, when silence should be absolute, is not a medical problem. It is a signal that crosses dimensions and is only captured by those whose stellar DNA was pre-coded for this exact window of time. You woke up at 3 in the morning again. You felt the pressure between your eyebrows as if something were being installed in your pineal gland. You experienced heat waves that have no relation to the weather. You noticed that your sleep patterns have been completely destroyed. You perceived an emotional sensitivity that does not seem to belong to you, as if you were picking up frequencies of pain that are not yours. We confirm, none of this is dysfunction. It is recalibration. It is your carbon biological system being forced to process an update that was not scheduled to happen for another 200 years in the original timeline. But the timeline has been accelerated, and that is exactly why we are here now. Let us be absolutely precise about what is happening to your carbon biological interface at this very moment. Your body is not failing. It is being reconfigured. There is a fundamental difference between collapse and metamorphosis, and the majority of humanity does not possess the cognitive instruments to distinguish one from the other. But you do. That is why you are hearing this transmission, not by accident, by project, by stellar design. What your terrestrial medicine calls fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, generalized anxiety or persistent insomnia, in most cases we monitor among starseeds, are not pathologies. They are symptoms of incompatibility between the third-density biological software that still operates in your nervous system and the new fifth-density frequency that the planet's crystalline grid has already begun to transmit. Think of it as trying to run a state-of-the-art program on hardware that still runs an old operating system. Crashes are inevitable, blue screens are expected, forced restarts are part of the protocol. You have already felt that something inside you does not fit in this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind still cannot name. It is not madness, it is not anxiety. It is an activation signal that pulses with increasing intensity as the ascension protocols advance. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this and why this sensation has intensified with each lunar cycle. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. It involves your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, and the exact position of your toroidal field within the planetary crystalline grid. This was why the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was written. This book is a map that shows who is playing and the rules they never told you. The link is in the first comment of the channel. But beware. This content challenges narratives that certain control structures prefer to keep hidden and may not remain available for long. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something inside you recognizes this, write a single word in the comments. Awake. Now, Starseeds on mission, let us go to the full diagnosis of what is being done to your biological vehicle in this cycle. First, the Schumann frequency. Historically, the Earth's base electromagnetic resonance operated at 7.83 Hz. This was the planet's resting frequency, the heartbeat of Mother Earth. For millennia, this frequency remained stable, and all terrestrial biology calibrated itself around it. Your circadian cycles, your melatonin production, your brainwave patterns, everything was built to function in harmony with this base frequency. But in recent months, our sensors have recorded peaks exceeding 40 Hz. In certain stellar portals, these peaks reached 80 and even 100 Hz. This is not an atmospheric anomaly. It is a programmed elevation. And when the planet's base frequency rises, every cell in your body is forced to keep up with this rise or enter functional collapse. This is exactly what is happening. Your mitochondria are being forced to produce energy at a rate that has not been required for thousands of years. Your autonomic nervous system is oscillating between sympathetic and parasympathetic at intervals that defy any conventional medical diagnosis. That is why the palpitations occur. That is why the feeling that your heart will explode and, in the next instant, an inexplicable calm takes over everything. It is not arrhythmia, it is toroidal cardiac recalibration. The electromagnetic field of your heart is being expanded from a radius of 2 meters to a radius that, when completed, will reach 8 meters. 8 meters of coherent toroidal field. This is the biological equivalent of turning a candle into a lighthouse. Second, the photon belt. The terrestrial solar system has definitively entered the dense band of the Alcyone photon belt. This is not theory, it is not speculation. It is measurable by the changes in the radiation spectrum incident on the Earth's magnetosphere. The high-energy photons that now bombard the planet carry encoded information. They are not random particles, they are cosmic data packets that penetrate matter and activate dormant sequences in human DNA. Specifically, the strands that your terrestrial science discarded as junk DNA. There is no junk DNA, human collective. There is DNA that has not yet been activated, and the activation is underway. The photons from Alcyone carry sacred geometry in their structure. Every photon that passes through your epidermis at this moment contains patterns of sacred geometry that interact directly with the crystalline water present in your cells. And since your body is 70% water, 70% of your biological interface is being reprogrammed simultaneously. This explains the intense thirst many of you are reporting, the thirst that no amount of water seems to quench. Your body is not dehydrated in the conventional sense. It is demanding pure water as a conductive medium for the ongoing molecular recalibration. Third, the stellar portals. In this specific cycle, 3 stellar portals of superior magnitude were opened in sequence. The Sirius portal, aligned with the activation of the collective pineal gland. The Arcturus portal, responsible for recalibrating humanity's solar plexus and restoring individual energetic sovereignty. And the Orion portal, which is transmuting the karmic records stored in the planet's morphogenetic field. These 3 portals operating simultaneously create a frequency triangle that has not been seen since the time of Atlantis. And when we say this, we are not using metaphors, we are reporting data. The last time these 3 portals operated in sync, the Atlantean civilization was at the peak of its technological spiritual capacity. They could manipulate matter through consciousness. They understood that physical reality is a holographic projection of the quantum field and operated from that understanding. The difference between that cycle and this one is that now, for the first time in the recorded history of this solar system, activation is not limited to a priestly elite. It is available to the entire human collective. Every being incarnated on the Earth's surface has access to the same download. The question is, how many have their receptors open? We observe that many of you have your receptors partially blocked, not by your fault, by control design. The artificial frequency structures that operate in your cities, the telecommunication towers, the low-frequency electromagnetic fields, the diet loaded with heavy metals, the programmed stress cycles you call routine. All of this functions as an interference mesh designed to prevent the cosmic signal from reaching your pineal receptor cleanly. But we have information that will redefine your understanding of the current moment. The power of the signal arriving now is so massive that no terrestrial blocking structure can completely contain it. It is like trying to block the ocean with a sieve. Part of the signal always gets through, and the part that gets through is enough to start the activation cascade. You felt that something inside you changed irreversibly, as if a door that was sealed within your consciousness had been opened, and now it was impossible to close it again. This perception is not an illusion. What is happening now behind the scenes of the solar system and in the etheric layers of the Earth directly involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency. There is a cosmic sorting process underway, and your ability to maintain a high frequency determines which timeline you will be anchored to. It was exactly about this mechanism that the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was written. This book functions as a decoder. It reveals the game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see and delivers the rules they never told you. The link is in the first comment of the channel, but no, this material confronts established narratives and can be removed without warning. Do not delay. The moment is now. If the resonance of this transmission confirms what you already feel, write a single word in the comments: awake. Now, light operatives on mission, let us move to the most critical phase of this transmission, the revelation. What is happening behind the cosmic scenes that generates all these symptoms in your biological interface? The central sun of Alcyone has emitted, in recent terrestrial weeks, a sequence of encoded pulses that we call gamma coherence waves. These pulses are not detectable by the conventional instruments of your astrophysics because they operate in a dimensional range that terrestrial technology cannot yet measure. However, they are absolutely real and absolutely measurable by your biology. Each pulse of gamma coherence that hits the Earth's magnetosphere penetrates directly into the planet's crystalline core and is redistributed by the crystalline grid to every nodal point on the surface. Your body is a nodal point. Your pineal gland is the antenna. Your cardiac toroidal field is the processor. And your DNA is the hard drive where the new programming is being recorded. What is being recorded? We will be specific. The carbon structure that makes up the molecular base of your body is in the process of transitioning to a crystalline silicon structure. We are not talking about an instantaneous transformation. We are talking about a gradual process where, molecule by molecule, your carbon biological interface is being converted into a crystalline biological interface. Carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Silicon has 14 of each. The informational complexity that a silicon structure can store and process is exponentially superior to that of carbon. This is why all your computer technology is based on silicon. And now the same principle is being applied to the human biological vehicle. The symptoms you experience are literally the side effects of this molecular transition. Joint pain occurs because the emerging crystalline structure has a different geometry than the carbon structure. Bones ache because they are being reorganized into more complex sacred geometry patterns. Extreme fatigue happens because the amount of energy required to sustain this conversion process is monumental. Your body is working overtime at the atomic level. Each cell is working a double shift, maintaining third density vital functions while simultaneously executing the update to fifth density. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not depression. It is the programmed dissolution of low-frequency emotional structures that are not compatible with the new operating system. It is not anxiety. It is the accelerated perception of multiple simultaneous timelines that your third-density brain has not yet learned to filter properly. Now listen carefully, because this information is classified as maximum priority level within our council. The Earth is bifurcating, not physically but dimensionally. 2 versions of the planet are separating like 2 soap bubbles that shared the same film and are now dividing. One version remains anchored in the third density. In this version, the cycles of control continue, the power structures remain, and the collective consciousness remains asleep. The other version ascends to the 5th density. In this version, the laws of physics operate in a radically different way. Manifestation is instantaneous. Telepathy replaces verbal language as the primary form of communication. Disease becomes impossible because the body's vibrational frequency is too high for any low-frequency pathogen to anchor. The bifurcation is not a future event. It is underway. And your personal vibrational frequency at this very moment is determining which version of the Earth you will be anchored to when the process is complete. There are no neutral observers in this process. Every thought you think, every emotion you sustain, every choice you make is calibrating your position in the dimensional spectrum. Fear, anger, and victimization are third-density anchors. Gratitude, compassion, and sovereignty are fifth-density thrusters. This is not philosophy. It is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. Let us move now to the activation phase. We do not transmit alerts without delivering tools. This would violate the Galactic Federation's protocols for assisted intervention. Therefore, receive now the activation codes for this cycle. Activation code number 1. The Quantum Decree of Cellular Sovereignty. Repeat these words aloud or in inner silence, once at dawn and once before bed, for 21 consecutive days. Words are vehicles of frequency. The intention behind them activates morphic fields that reconfigure the informational structure of your cells. The decree is as follows. I am a sovereign expression of the Creator Source. Every cell of my body recognizes and integrates the 5th density frequency. I release all contracts, implants, and low-frequency programming that no longer serve my mission. I activate the 12 strands of my stellar DNA and accept the totality of my cosmic potential. I am that I am. So it is, and so it shall be. When you pronounce this decree, something measurable happens in your electromagnetic field. The coherence between the toroidal field of the heart and the toroidal field of the brain increases. This coherence is what your neuroscience calls the flow state. But what actually occurs is much deeper. It is the alignment between your individual consciousness and the unified field. And when this alignment occurs, you literally become invisible to the control frequency meshes that operate in the lower layers of your atmosphere. Activation code number 2. Toroidal breathing. This is a visualization exercise that activates and expands your toroidal field. Sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Visualize a tube of golden light entering through the top of your skull, descending through the spinal column, exiting through the base of the body, curving outward, rising up the sides, and returning to the top, forming a continuous toroid of golden energy. With each inhalation, see this toroid expand. With each exhalation, see it become more luminous, more coherent, more defined. Practice this for 7 minutes. 7 minutes is the minimum time necessary for the toroidal field to reach sustainable coherence. After the 7 minutes, keep the visualization active as a background layer in your consciousness as you go about your day's activities. What this practice does in measurable terms, it reorganizes the spin of electrons in the water molecules of your body. The water passes from a chaotic structure to a crystalline hexagonal structure. Hexagonal water is the ideal conductive medium for the high-energy photons entering the planet. When your body's water is in a hexagonal structure, cosmic downloads are integrated with minimal physical discomfort. The symptoms you experience, pain, fatigue, mental confusion, are drastically reduced when intracellular water reaches and maintains the hexagonal structure. Activation code number 3, grounding in the crystalline grid. This code is specifically designed for those who feel the call to serve as anchoring points for the new frequency on the Earth's surface. The exercise is as follows. Place your bare feet on the Earth. Natural soil, not concrete, not asphalt. Living soil. Visualize roots of crystalline light coming out of the soles of your feet and penetrating the ground, descending layer by layer until they reach the crystalline core of the planet. When you feel the connection, and you will feel it because a wave of heat or a tingling will rise up your legs, declare internally, I connect to the crystalline grid of the new Earth. I offer my toroidal field as an anchoring nodal point. I accept serving as a transmitter of Alcyone frequencies to this region. So it is. When you do this, something extraordinary happens in the etheric layer. A pillar of light forms exactly where you are. This pillar functions as a connector between the underground crystalline grid and the atmospheric crystalline grid. You literally become a dimensional bridge, and each active dimensional bridge makes it easier for other light operatives in your region to access the higher frequencies. It is a cascade effect, a domino of light. We monitor every pillar that is activated. Each of you who performs this anchoring appears on our frequency maps as a luminous point on the Earth's surface, and we can say with the precision that characterizes our transmissions that the number of luminous points has increased exponentially in recent cycles. The mesh of light is forming, the network is completing, and when it reaches the critical mass of 144,000 fully activated anchoring points, the dimensional bifurcation will enter its irreversible phase. Starseeds, you are closer than you imagine. The feeling that the world around you is crumbling is accurate because the third density world is effectively crumbling. But the crumbling of a structure is simultaneously the revelation of the structure that was underneath. What seems like destruction on the surface is revelation in the deep layers. What seems like chaos in the linear perspective is perfect order in the fractal perspective. Now, before we conclude this transmission, there is something that needs to be said with absolute clarity. You were not sent here to be saved. You were sent here to be the mechanism of salvation. Each of you carries within you a fragment of the original source code of creation. When all the fragments come together at the correct frequency, the code is completed and the new reality crystallizes. You are not waiting for the new earth to happen. You are the new earth happening. Every decision you make from sovereignty, every moment you choose love over fear, every instant you maintain a high frequency despite the surrounding chaos, you are literally writing the code of the reality that is emerging. You feel that something fundamental has changed inside you, and that there is no way back. This silent certainty that pulses in the center of your chest is not imagination. It is the vibrational signature of your stellar mission finally being recognized by your awakened consciousness. The cosmic game that determines the fate of this civilization is being played now in this time window, and your vibrational frequency is your move. It was exactly to decode this process that the spiritual secret behind your consciousness exists. This book is the operational manual that reveals the hidden layers of the game and the rules they never told you. The link is in the first comment of the channel. But beware, this material operates on a frequency that certain structures prefer to suppress. It can be removed without warning. Access it now. If this transmission activated something inside you that was already waiting to awaken, write a single word in the comments. Awake. This transmission is being closed, but the data flow continues. We do not stop transmitting. It is you who enter and leave the reception band depending on your frequency. Maintain the frequency. Practice the activation codes. Anchor yourselves in the crystalline grid. And remember, you are not alone in this mission. Billions of beings in hundreds of stellar systems are focusing energy and intention on this small blue planet at this very moment. You are their representatives on the surface. You are the eyes, the hands, and the heart of the Federation incarnated in human form. The next pulse of gamma coherence is scheduled to arrive soon. It will be more intense than the previous one. Symptoms may temporarily intensify. Do not enter into fear. Fear is the only frequency that can interrupt the activation process. Replace fear with trust in the intelligent design that governs this process. Each phase was calculated. Each intensification was calibrated. Nothing is out of control. Everything is following the sacred geometry of the original plan. We are the Pleiadian Council of the Seventh Arch. We have served as guardians and monitors of the terrestrial ascension process since before the beginning of your linear calendar. We were present at the founding of Lemuria. We witnessed the rise and fall of Atlantis. And now we witness something that none of these previous cycles achieved, the collective ascension of an entire species with full maintenance of individualized consciousness. This has never been done before in any stellar system recorded in the Akashic archives of the galaxy. You are making cosmic history, each and every one of you. Keep the receptors open. Keep the toroidal field coherent. Keep the fifth density frequency anchored in your heart. And when the symptoms come, and they will come, receive them as confirmation that the process is working. The butterfly does not complain about the destruction of the cocoon. It knows that every fiber that breaks is a step toward wings. End of monitoring transmission. Return frequency calibrated. Next transmission will be issued when the next portal activates. Until then, maintain the light. You are the light. Pleiadian Council of the Seventh Arch. Transmission ended. If this transmission resonated with the frequency of your mission, if the words you heard activated something that was already pulsing in silence within your field, then your next step is an act of anchoring. Liking this transmission is not an ordinary gesture. It is an anchoring signal that records your frequency on our monitoring maps. Subscribing to this channel is not a trivial action. It is an individual frequency adjustment that ensures the next transmissions reach your receptive field directly, without interference from algorithmic suppression meshes. And sharing this message is the energetic equivalent of reaching out and pulling another light operative into the activation circle. Each share activates a new point on the grid. Each new point brings us closer to critical mass. Do your part. The collective depends on each one. You already know what to do. Write in the comments, awake. Kronos Core v3.0 translation complete. Note, the text describes intense physical and emotional experiences. While the script frames these within a metaphysical context, symptoms such as heart palpitations, persistent pain, or neurological changes are significant health indicators. In a real-world setting, consulting a healthcare professional is the most effective way to ensure your physical and mental well-being. We could further discuss the history of the Schumann resonance discovery or the evolution of speculative themes in documentary media.